Hi everyone, Sarah Carl here. Today we're going to be talking about moving on guilt or guilt for moving on after an emotionally unavailable and emotionally abusive relationship, after a relationship with a narcissist. Because there's this point in the relationship, things are wrong, things are off, and you may not know exactly why or what it is that's off. And there's this period of trying to figure it out that you go through, because this is a person that in the beginning, when you were going through the love bombing phase, everything was great. I mean, you thought this person was the one. You thought this person was your soulmate. You really, really thought this is it. Everything I've ever wanted in a relationship, I'm able to have with this person. And then you begin to feel the shift, and you begin to see the shift for whatever reason, whether it's their attitude, their emotions, and the gaslighting begins to truly set in. You truly begin to question who you are, what you're doing, and what in the world is going on. You begin to truly connect with the the damage done from the emotional abuse, from the mental abuse. You feel it. You feel it in your mind. You feel it in your body. You feel it in your heart. You feel it in every breath that you take that feels constricted, that feels like there are hands around your throat choking you. And so many people that I've worked with have told me about the physical impact of the emotional neglect and abuse that they've experienced: thyroid issues, fibromyalgia, IBS, you name it, because you feel it in those parts of your body, in your throat, in your gut. You feel it everywhere. You feel that numbness, that tingling, that unexplainable sensation. And this is all due to what you go through on every level, on the soul level, on the mental level, on the emotional, and the physical, and you're trying to figure it out. So in the beginning of the relationship, it's incredible. The love bombing phase is absolutely designed. I mean, they don't say I've designed this love bombing phase, but it's designed to impact you in that way. It's designed to get you hooked in and addicted to that high that you get when you truly feel loved, when you feel like you found this person. And they do anything and everything that you want them to do. They become that person that you want them to be. They're learning about you, they're listening to you, and they're using that against you to get you hooked in. And later you feel the tides turn, you feel the tables turn when in the relationship things begin to happen that are unexplainable, and you begin to feel like you're going insane and you're going crazy. And there's a part of you that says, no, 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 you're not insane. You're not going crazy. And perhaps you reach out to friends, you reach out to close people that you trust. Perhaps you don't have anyone because you've already gotten to that point in the relationship where they've isolated you from everyone by making fun of them, by making you feel like you're too good for them, that you're better than them, that you're above them, and you don't need them in your life. And this can come in the form of them isolating you from your family, from your friends, from your job, from your career. This can come in the form of them moving you and saying that they want to move in with you, or perhaps you moving in with them and leaving everything behind. That's in an effort to isolate you, because when you're isolated, you're scared, you're alone, you're afraid, you're easier to use, you're easier to abuse, you are easier to manipulate. And it is much more difficult from that place of isolation and loneliness and dependency on them for all of your needs to be met emotionally, spiritually, financially, you name it. So what happens is you get into support groups, perhaps you begin going to see a counselor or talk to someone about it. And you become aware that you're experiencing narcissistic abuse. You discover this word narcissist. You are informed about what trauma bond is and all of the words that are connected and associated with this type of abuse and manipulation. And suddenly light bulbs come on. And you are so grateful and you're so thankful for this. So these light bulbs come on, and it's like you can see when you were once blind and living in the dark. Suddenly you can see, suddenly you become more aware, suddenly things begin to make more sense. And you realize, I don't want to live like this. This is not what I thought I signed up for. So you make a plan to leave, and you follow through with that plan, and you leave. You leave with guilt. Maybe you leave and you celebrate and you just honor yourself for the strength and the courage that that took to leave, as you should. But then the guilt sets in, the guilt for moving on. And there's no special timeline when that guilt is going to set in. It's different for everyone because you are different from everyone. You are unique. Your past, all the experiences, all the beliefs that you have consciously, unconsciously that have led to you having that experience are part of your story. So your story is also unique to you, and when the guilt for moving on or leaving is going to set in and hit you, the grief and the pain, you have already been through so much. Why in the world are you now dealing with guilt from moving on from what you know was so toxic, was so abusive, was so manipulative? I've worked with a lot of people in their journey when they hit this phase because they know I've come so far. And they have stories for years. They could write books and they could write scripts for movies on their story of the abuse that they endured and what they went through. And they wonder why in the world they're feeling all this guilt now. What is this all about? I know I did the right thing. I know that if I stayed, I would have hurt myself, perhaps my kids, my family. I would have jeopardized my career even more than it was already suffering. I don't even know if I would have had it. I might have completely lost it altogether. So why do I feel guilt? It's almost, even with that person being alive still, the experience of survivor's guilt. It feels that heavy. It feels like it has that great of a hold on you. Even though you left and you broke up and you moved on, that person is still alive. You experience survivor's guilt, that same emotional impact that is influencing and impacting your life now. You're going through and you're wondering why, because they're still alive. They haven't passed. So it's not that. So what is this? What is this? Why am I going through this? Why is it impossible for me to sleep at night? Why is it that I have nightmares about them? Why is it that all I can do is think about them when they were the most horrible person in the world to me? So why all the guilt for moving on? You may be wondering that yourself, especially if you're now in a healthy relationship, or you have realized, I don't want to get into another relationship because you got this fear now that hasn't yet gone away, and you're going to wait until it does, and you're trying to figure out ways to get that fear to go away so you don't carry your own stuff into that relationship, but you feel guilty. Perhaps you've moved on, and in so many ways, your life has improved, perhaps financially. You no longer have someone financially abusing you. You've become financially independent. You've gotten yourself into a better position, a better career. You're reestablishing the relationships that maybe once were on the brink or ruined completely. You're getting new friendships, new relationships, regardless of where you're at in your journey after having left. You've moved on. Why the guilt then? Because you know that what you did was right. But there's something inside of you that isn't quite right, that doesn't feel quite right, and is wondering, why do I feel like this? Shouldn't I feel good? In all areas of my life, why am I struggling internally, mentally? Why is this still so hard? Well, what's happening is that survivor's guilt. You know, there's a part of you that knows that that person is hurting. They couldn't have done what they did to you without them hurting themselves. You know that that was projected pain, and you know that you had your own pain and your own baggage and your own issues too, and you met them at their pain. And you left and you got out, you did what was right for you. And you can leave them, but they can't leave them. And so you feel guilty and you feel bad because within the context of the relationship, that was one of the reasons why you stayed, is because you knew how much pain they were in. You knew, even if they never admitted to you, you could feel it. And you wanted to be there to help them through that. You wanted to help them on their journey to healing. You wanted to love them to healing, to a place where they saw within them what you saw within them, but you didn't see the real them. You saw their potential, and that potential was built on a foundation of lies, but you saw it as the truth about them. You saw how great they could be if only they would not do all the things that they did to you, but they did. And you feel bad. You feel like part of it was your fault. You know that you had a role. You know that you played a part in that relationship. You know that you weren't perfect. You know you could have done things differently. And the truth is, you were responding from a place of your own pain and trauma. And so you feel guilty for the things that you said to them, for the things that you did to them, for the way that you got out. And you probably feel guilty when they reach back out to you and they try and hoover you back in and they tell you, I love you, I miss you, I'm so sorry. You were the one. And if we're talking about some of the narcissistic traits or tendencies, this is a part of the cycle of narcissistic abuse. This is called the hoovering phase, where they try and suck you back in and get you to believe those things, that they've had this awakening, this revelation, and they know how bad they've hurt you, and you feel guilty because they share these sob stories with you, and they're constantly in the role and position of playing the victim to get you to feel that guilt. Because when they get you to feel that guilt, then they know they're playing with your heartstrings and they might have a chance to pull you back in, and that is what they are hoping for. And you feel this guilt for not going back in, but you do miss the love, you do miss the connection that you thought you had, but you didn't ever actually have it with them. You had it with this projected image of them, this image that they were portraying of them, but you feel guilty because you know you had a part in it, and you did. And that is now your part in your journey now, is to truly get to the unconscious beliefs that you have about yourself because of that guilt. What is it that's really going on within you? What are those inner wounds really telling you? Those inner wounds of abandonment, neglect, betrayal, rejection, lack of acceptance. Because all those things were present in that relationship. You were constantly rejected. You were constantly betrayed. You were constantly made to feel unworthy, undeserving, and that you were not good enough. You weren't good enough for them, because if you were, it would have been an incredible relationship. You would have been able to have everything that you wanted to have with them. And those are the wounds that you're still carrying. Those are the wounds that lead to the feeling of guilt, the heaviness of guilt that you're now carrying around with you wherever you go, that's now being shared with everyone that you're connecting with. And there may be this error in this part of you that's wearing this mask, what I call the F me, the fake or the fraud me, that's pretending that that's not there because you don't want it to be, and you don't think it should be because you know you did the right thing by leaving, but you still feel this guilt and you still feel bad for them. And so you still perhaps check up on them or reach out to them and say, well, let's just be friends because I still care about you. I still love you, just not in that way that we can be together. And you still struggle with that internal battle and conflict of, is that okay? It's true for me. I really do want to stay in connection and contact with them. I really do want the best for them. That's why I had to do what I had to do for me, which was leave. But now you're stuck with this guilt and moving on, and this survivor's guilt with the person who is alive. That is a big indication when we talk about red flags and green flags, right? Red flags mean run. They don't mean stop and join. Does not mean, oh, this is where you stop and get off and join the party. Those mean run. But green flags, that feeling of guilt is actually a green flag. It's a green flag and an indication for you that there's more inner work to do. And I'm not just talking about journaling or meditating. I mean, those can help, and if they do, great, use them. But I'm talking about truly connecting to the very core and the very root of this guilt and why it's there for you, when it came into your life, where it stems from. I worked with a lady one time who specifically wanted to work on this. She had a great relationship, a new apartment. She had rekindled her relationship with her sister, who tried to tell her from the very beginning, this is not a good person for you. Everyone else saw, but she didn't. And so she stayed and she felt guilty. And she felt guilty even after leaving. She came to me specifically to work one-to-one to get to the very core and the root of this guilt, completely set free from it, even before that session completed. Felt like it was gone, like felt the energy and the weight of it just completely dissipate and disappear, because she connected with what was going on within her unconsciously and realized, this isn't mine. And it, in fact, wasn't the abusers that she just left. It was guilt that she had been carrying all through her life. Guilt that made her be the people pleaser that she was, guilt that made her be that codependent that she was, and guilt for being successful and happy. Yes, you can have guilt for being happy. And a lot of people experience that. Why? I'm so happy now. So why do I feel guilt? You can feel guilt for being happy because you've left someone that you always wanted to be happy and never has been, and you feel never will be, and felt like you put so much energy and effort into trying to make that person happy. They never were. And now you feel guilty because you feel like you're a failure. And that connects with an unconscious belief within you from long ago that actually led you to staying in that emotionally neglectful and abusive relationship for as long as you did. That guilt is this cord, that pain that was theirs as well, that you connected with magnetically, energetically. So getting to the core root of that for you, where it came from, what it means for you, so that you can reprogram, reshift, and rewire that and no longer feel guilty. You can feel happy and feel completely content, solid, whole, complete in your decision, in all the decisions you made, the difficult ones, and truly feel happy when you feel happy, not feel guilty for being happy. So for her specifically, it went back to when she was a child, to all the times that her parents made her feel guilty, made her feel like she wasn't up to par, didn't quite meet the expectations, and she felt guilty and she felt bad because her parents were kind, caring, loving parents, and they just wanted what was best for her. And she felt that she was letting them down and felt guilty for that. You see, it's often not what you think it is. You think it has to do with that relationship, and part of it may, and part of it does, but that's not all of it. And until you get to the very core and the very root of it, you're still going to be carrying it being the guilt, it being the blame, it being the shame that you have, that self-blame, that self-shame, that self-guilt. I guarantee you, the narcissist, the emotional manipulator and abuser is moved on. They're not feeling bad. They are not feeling guilty for what they did to you. So why are you the one left feeling and carrying this guilt after leaving them? That's exactly why. And only your unconscious mind knows, only your unconscious mind holds the key to unlocking and releasing you from that guilt that you feel. So if you're ready to go on that journey and that transformation, have that breakthrough, have that freedom from the guilt, and truly, truly move on in every way and stop pretending that you're happy that you moved on, that you're okay with where you are now, and stop wearing that mask and just smiling and hiding the pain within, then I would absolutely love to connect with you. I'd love to talk to you about possibly working together one-to-one if we're a good fit too. I'd love to share more information with you about my signature program, Transforming Past Pain to Present Power, that allows you to truly and deeply connect to those unconscious parts within you that are still holding on to that pain, that are causing you to feel that guilt. All right, guys, that is what we're going to share and talk about for today. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Bye for now.